All right, ladies and gentlemen, get locked in. I have a good one for you. I told you about this yesterday. There's a lot to unpack, and I think it could provide a lot of answers to some lingering questions that we have. I am very honored to welcome Corby Hall, the Candace Owens Show.
Well, alrighty then.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That if you don't take the glasses off, then no one's gonna believe you.
You have to do the glasses.
So that people know you mean business.
Hey, aren't we waiting on somebody?
No, we are not waiting on anybody. He's not coming. Victor does not want to sit across from you, which I thought, Victor Marx, it would be a good idea to have you all here because I can't contest anything he says. I am not a FoldAR company, and I did not have these conversations with him. But it's okay because I'm actually happy to have just you. I do think that if he was here, he would dominate the conversation. Everything that I learned about Victor Marx, I learned against my will. I want my audience, I want to be very upfront about where I am at on this conversation, why I was so drawn to your story, and why I believe they will be so drawn to your story. I think we are at a very interesting place in America where we know we are being sort of abused by the media. We know that they're lying to us about everything. There's, for me, the world before Charlie Kirk died and the world after Charlie Kirk died, and it seems like there's been an increase in this sort of, I don't know, like a tactic to make us think that we're the crazy ones when nothing is making sense. And when I read your story and learned about Victor Marx, there were so many themes that were coming up here. This idea of the pastor, this idea of you can't question this because the Lord has willed this. This is what we're all feeling right now, like faith has been used to manipulate the masses and actually to maybe cover up for evil. So I want you to know that when we have this conversation, I will interject and put my opinion. As always, it does not need to become your opinion. Feel free to say, Candace, I don't believe that. That sounds crazy. That could be a conspiracy. Or say, I plead the fifth. You could just say that you want to stay mum.
Yeah, sure thing.
But I wanted to give you a chance because I know that Victor Marx has a following. You do not. And he has been instantly right out of the gate saying that you are a crazy person, which is one of their favorite tactics. Everybody who disagrees with me is an insane person. So who actually are you, Corby Hall?
Well, I own a company called FoldAR. I've got the patent on the most compact AR-15 in the world. And our mission is school resource officers. And so it's been a long journey. This isn't something that just popped up overnight. This has been a 20-year journey for me. And, we've done really well in the marketplace for the size of the company and the amount of resources that were available to us. I just got back from ISOF. So that was the big, you've kind of made it. Jumping over that bar was exhilarating, to say the least. And that's special forces operators from around the world. I got to shake hands with a lot of IDF and all other kind of special forces came out and shot my weapon systems and loved it. So it was an honor. This is FoldAR. The brand itself has been here since 2018.
Okay.
And we're a small company out in the sticks, East Texas, and just a few employees. And we make a few thousand rifles a year. And it's the most compact, but it's also a caliber swap. Push one pin, barrel system comes off. You can change your calibers, your barrel lengths, push the pin back in, and you're ready to go with another caliber.
And we're not going to tell people back at home how you just had to slowly explain to me the very basic functions of a gun. We're not going to tell them that.
No, let's not tell them.
I knew everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows it all.
I know it all. So I did just get a nice crash course. It's a very interesting product. You could see why you would have special forces interested in that product. And something that I think jumped at my audience in general when it came to the FoldAR was the idea of a pastor. I know now he says he's not a pastor, but his website certainly did say he was a pastor at some point, being interested in this product. So I'd just love to hear about how you met Victor Marx.
Well, late November of 23, my wife was showing me some of the Instagram posts that he was making, and he was demoing compact weapon systems. And it was kind of framed around, Victor's looking for the most versatile compact weapon system that's out there and I don't think he announced it as he was looking for a signature series at the time, but nonetheless, she had me message him, and he responded right away and invited us up to his house in Colorado Springs. So we drove from East Texas to Colorado Springs on, I think December the 1st, and
What year?
23.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we got there, and there was quite a few people there. So I think there was probably around 15 to 20 people there, some family, some friends, some
Wow.
security guys, and all really nice people. Everybody was really kind to us, and we got to meet all of them individually and talk to all of them. So we went into the dojo house where it's like a karate mat and kind of a wide open space, and I was demonstrating it, pulling it out of a backpack and deploying it and teaching some of the people that were there how to deploy it.
This sounds like a pretty big property.
It's not that big. I would say like 4 to 5 acres maybe.
Okay, so 5-acre property.
Mhm.
Okay, but they're doing gun demos just in a studio where he does doja, did you say?
Yeah. So, just a studio area at first.
Okay.
And so we did that for an hour, and it was mostly discussion, of course. And so we're not deploying it and shooting it at that point, but,
Who are the other people that were just people, friends not in the industry whatsoever, just like local friends of theirs?
I don't know if they were all local, but nonetheless, everybody was really nice.
Okay.
So, after that portion of it, we went out to the gun range, which was, just a 25-yard range that was at the back of the property, and it had, like, tinder framing around it, and it's kinda dug into the ground. So they got to shoot right there and deploy, and so everybody got their rounds, and we got pictures, and, my wife got to shoot the gun and with Victor, and she was excited about that. Got some pictures, and anyways, I kinda stay back. Like, I don't put myself in the middle of everything, and so I show everybody what to do, make sure everybody's safe. You've got, security type former military people there, so everybody knows how to shoot a gun, and I'm just kinda sitting back at my vehicle, which is parked at the back, and Victor comes up to me, and he's like, first thing he said was, not the first thing of the whole meeting, but first thing he said in this moment was, I don't really meet too many people that are at the pinnacle of their industry. And to me, I don't take overt compliments very well. And that was really the first time that anybody significant had said anything like that to me. Because I'm still a very small company, almost invisible in the industry, even though I'm well known in the industry, but in the general marketplace, kind of invisible. And so I when I heard that, I was like, okay, at least somebody gets it. Like, I'm not trying to get a badge of honor here, but that was nice after 18 or 17 years of work at that point.
Wow.
And so he said, well, I've got some signature series that I'm looking at with, he named off a few different companies and, bigger companies. Like, yeah, but this one's the only one that makes sense. And for me, I already know what my weapon system is. So validation doesn't really mean anything to me from other people. But it was, again, a reaffirmation that somebody gets it.
Mhm.
And we had already had conversations, back at the Doja House, whatever you call that, um, about our mission with going on the backs of school resource officers and well, it wasn't our mission at that point in time, but it was brought up as a topic, and we had sold quite a few to school resource officers. But again, it wasn't so much, our mission wasn't established until we left the Marxes, and I'll walk you through that. So when we walked in, well, so we get done with the shooting at the range, and we've already, at this point, we've been there for like 4 or 5 hours. So they invite us into their house, and it's getting dusk, I suppose. Um, and, Victor opens the door, and my wife goes in, and as he's going in, he says, everybody's been talking, and we've noticed too, me and Eileen have noticed that, you and your wife just have a unique connection that is unusual. Like you're finishing each other's sentences. You're talking to multiple people and like automatically know where the other one left off and you fill in the gap. And the way you look at each other and that was normal for us. Like we were already 3 years into the relationship and we had a little thing where we called, twin flames and it was natural to us. And so we had this other thing, 1111 and not into all the angel numbers, but that was our thing, our unique connection. And he opens the door and he says, I feel the hand of God on y'all, or God's favor. I feel God's favor on y'all, and you're about. He's telling me that you're about to come into an abundance as we're walking into the house. And so, having worked on this for so long up to that point, there's been a lot of instances where people have told me like, "Oh, this is about to take off. You're about to make all this money and get all this attention," so many times over the years. And so that was one of those moments where inside, it didn't sit well with me hearing that. But on the outside, it was like, okay, maybe this is it because he already understands. Like that's already clicked. So that started off the entry to the house. We go in, we sit down in the living room on the couch, and we just having casual conversation and talking about the history of what I've been through to make it this far. And, it's just getting deeper and deeper. And, they ask us about, well, first this is when they make the comment about the connection. We're sitting there on the couch, makes the comment about me and my wife's connection and says, well, aren't y'all married? Well, y'all, first are y'all believers? Like, yeah, we are believers. I got another coincidence. I accepted Christ when I was 16 and so did she. And so answered that question and then it was, well, aren't y'all married? Like, well, I've been married a couple times before, her too, and it just wasn't a priority. We get along great, and I don't want marriage to ruin that, right? But we're not thinking scripturally about it, and so this led into, and this is hours worth of conversation, and this led into the Victor explaining what a retooling prayer is, and I had never heard that term before, and I grew up in church, but I wasn't heavily rooted in scripture at that point in time. We're talking December 23. Um, so it didn't click with me that was something to watch out for.
Mm.
I'm just, I'm excited we're here. this seems like it might be what I've been working for all this time, and all the stress and the lawsuits and the marriages, and finally somebody understands. So, hey, let's do a retooling prayer. And so he kind of explains it, and he's asking Eileen a lot of questions about the process. So to me, it was like, well, why does he have to ask her how it goes? From component to component of how this retooling prayer goes. But again, I just let it slide, and so we agree, and it would start off with me, and this whole process, I think, lasted maybe 15 minutes each.
When you say it started with me, and you also used the word ritual, what do you mean by that?
Well, the retooling prayer, he was going to do it on me first,
Okay.
and then
So it's one by one, and he's going to retool what?
good question.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
we'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah. So, and of course, I didn't memorize the whole process, but recently I looked back on, there was a podcast that they did in 21, him and Eileen, where it described the process. I kind of forgot what the process was after this thing, but I looked back recently, and, it all started to come back as like, oh yeah, he did exactly that.
Mm.
And transcribed it out. It was a podcast, verbal podcast, but had it transcribed out and got to look through it in detail, piece by piece, here just a few weeks ago, actually. And so as I was reading through it, it was, oh, yeah, he did that. He did that. He did that. And so the first part was an opening prayer. And I didn't memorize the whole opening prayer. It's like 5 or 6 sentences long, 30 seconds worth of opening prayer. And it's using name of Jesus, and seemed like a fairly straightforward prayer, except, and again, I didn't notice all this stuff back then, but except the whole circle of judgment. So there's an opening prayer, and it establishes a circle of judgment in the room.
Mm.
And there's some other components to it, but
And who is in the circle of judgment? Sorry to.
it was just an imaginary bubble sphere, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the terminology. It was,
So he's kind of setting up this imaginary perimeter.
yeah, around the whole room,
Around
like
the whole
all
room.
of us.
Okay. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, within the circle, no one is judged, or we will be doing some judging. That's what I mean. That's my question. Like, you can tell me everything and no one's judging, or like we are going to enter in some judgments.
I think it was, well, looking back on the transcript,
Yeah, which is helpful.
it's judgment on the assigned demons.
Okay, so he's judging the demons that he assumes are in you.
Not in. And that's
Around?
attached to.
Attached to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Correct anything. I have not been in communication with a person who's doing retooling prayers. So.
Right. So here's the trick. Believers can't be possessed by demons. That's scripture. And so when you have believers come to this quasi exorcism, you can't call it an exorcism. So you have to reframe everything. So possession now becomes assignment.
Okay.
So they're not in you, but
Mhm.
they're attached to you.
Okay.
So in you, it's scriptural,
Mm-hmm.
a non-believer possessed
Mm-hmm.
inside you. A believer can't be possessed inside, but can be attached the outside. And so if you engage in a continuous sin, like
Mhm.
you have invited a demon to walk alongside you, I suppose.
Okay, I would have to consult a priest on that, because I do think that there are definitely ways that you can get possessed by demons. Like, there have been people, I don't know for sure, so I'm gonna but that helps me understand, I guess, the context of how this is happening. So he's saying there are demons that are attached to you. I'm going to do this retooling prayer. May I ask, what is his authority to do that prayer?
Well, I don't know that answer. And
Because that's would be my first question. If someone's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to like get these demons that are attached to you off of you, I'd be like, oh, are you a priest? Are you an exorcist? Are
Right.
you, did he say to you, I am a
pastor.
pastor? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's taken that since, just so you know, publicly, he's no longer a pastor, but he definitively did, we checked, have on his website that he was a pastor.
Well, I think, I guess I won't represent this as something that I remember him saying, but I think he believes that he's anointed by God as some type of apostle.
Okay.
So, in any case, so this assigned demon is going to get judged in this circle of judgment. And so he asked the subject, me, I'm gonna ask you a series of questions and you're just going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the first thing that comes to your head, just say it. Doesn't matter what it is. Don't think about it. Relax. Just say whatever the first thing that comes to your mind. And so he asked, he's commanding the demons at this point. And he asked, what demon, what is, well, I back up. He asked how many demons are assigned, and you just say a number. And so that's the instruction that he's given me. I'm going to ask how many demons are assigned to Corby. And I don't remember the number. It was either 2 or 3. And I just said the first number that came to mind. And then he asked the name of the first one. So he's gonna judge the first demon. He knows. Now I say a name. And I said, and this was recorded, by the way. And we were advised or suggested to record it. And so my wife did record. And so I said, oh, you're never going to believe what's popping in my head. I just think it's something I've seen on a movie or something. And Eileen says, oh, well, that just say whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's, and they'd name off some whatever common names. And I said, well, Beelzebub. And Eileen says, that's actually pretty common. I'm like, oh, okay. So proceeding from there, Victor names the demon by the name Beelzebub. And he commands angels to come down and grab this demon by the arms and make the demon kneel before him. So if you can imagine, angels coming down, grabbing, forcing the demon to kneel before Victor.
Just pausing here for dramatic effect, because that is how I am envisioning that. Victor Marx then believes that he has the capability not just to command demons, but to command angels. And that's what he's telling you, because he can.
Yeah.
Wow, that is. Sorry for interrupting, but that's the statement right there.
Yeah.
And also, to be clear, I hadn't realized this. I thought when you said you guys went one by one that maybe Eileen's in another room, but you guys were all in the room together.
Yes.
This is a
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Eileen is still kind of reminding him of the steps. He knows what to say, but it's just like, oh no, you do this step first, and then he'd be like, oh yeah.
And which angel did he say?
Didn't say. I don't remember him saying the names of the angels.
Okay.
Again, all recorded, so it'd be interesting to
Figure out which angel he believes he's commanding.
Yeah. So
this is just, this is a scary story to me. Like, I am like, I don't even watch scary movies, so, like, it's like a movie right now in my head that I'm like I'm walking out of the theater right now. I'm just going like, "Okay," like, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is terrifying to me. Like, a man that yeah, that is something.
But this is the guy who understands me
Mm,
and understands what I've been through and sees the value in what I'm doing.
mhm.
So
They always come as your friends. Mm,
sorry, Charlie.
yeah, they always come as your friends.
So this demon being held by two angels, he makes some commands. I don't remember what he said, but he commanded one of the angels to cut the arm off the demon. And then I think commanded the other angel to cut off the other arm or a leg or something, dismemberment of the demon. And I did skip. I did skip a portion. So before that, yes, before all of that dramatic stuff, there was another set of questions that was asked. So after the demon's name, the next question that was asked was, what are the three lies that you've been telling Corby? And so this is where I started to get in kind of a trance like state. And I was staring straight at Victor and I wasn't blinking my eyes. They were kind of watering up and stopped breathing, not as a panic, but just I noticed that I just wasn't breathing for a few seconds. And so, again, first thing that pops into your head, and I said, "You're a fraud." And then, what's the second lie that you're telling Corby? And said, "Your kids don't love you." And the third lie, "She'll never love you." So that was the three lies, first things that popped in my head. And so then, after that set of questions, was what is the one truth that God's trying to tell Corby that you're blocking from him hearing? And of course, it's you're not a fraud. Your kids do love you. And she's sitting right there next to you and she's not going to leave you. So then the dramatics with the chopping the arms and the legs off and casting away, and then on to the next demon. What's the next demon's name? And then the whole process started over.
And in each process, is he chopping off the arm of the demon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hindsight is 20/20,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Also not I have the honor of sitting in this chair and I can, like, hear what's happening with what I just know about psychology and stuff, and you are telling him your deepest fears. That's it. Like, there's nothing happening other than we're all self-conscious. We constantly in our head are saying things, "Oh, this is not right," we in our normal capacity, we're our own worst critics, and he's just commanded that out of you, and now he knows your weak spots.
Yep.
Now he knows and you, at the end of that, because you're doing this and these people are strangers, um, you've instantly established an emotional connection with these people
Mm-hmm.
because you've shared with them something that you would not just share to a person that you met.
Right.
So he is, I would almost say he's trained in that. I don't think he's being trained by a church in that. I'll tell you that.
Right. Oh, I know now.
Mhm. Because in just how the emotion of hearing that, like, and I instantly know this is like these are your deepest fears. That's it. Like, we all have them, and you're talking about your kids, you're talking about, "Does this woman love me?" Like, I'm going into, I think you said this is your 3rd relationship, right? That's gonna obviously be a fear, and he's got the key. Maybe he was summoning demons. Maybe there was somebody in there that might have been a little possessed or attached, and I don't think it was you, but that's my opinion. It's my podcast. I can say my opinion whenever I want. I can.
Yes, ma'am. So, there was one more. The next name was Thomas, and I don't remember what the answers, the 3 lies, or the answers were for that one. But then the thing about it was like a compounding effect. So every time, this is where it got really interesting. Every time you would get done with a demon, he would re-ask the question of, now how many demons? Now, each time. And so after that second one, Thomas, I said 0. We're done. No matter what number popped into my head, it was 0. So it was getting kind of weird at that point. I wanted it over with, but moved on to my wife, and I'll just leave that one alone. But
same process, same thing.
Yeah.
And what happened after?
Well, I remember him saying that doing this practice like drains his energy. Like he gets real worn out, almost like he's using up energy in this process. And I remember that being something that stuck out. But after this whole process, so him and Eileen leave the room, and we've talked about my brief story. I dove deeper than I ever have with anybody else already.
Mm-hmm.
But they left the room and came back and told me about a dream or vision, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was a dream or a vision that Eileen had the night before. And they were both telling the story, kind of him telling a piece and then her telling a piece. And it was that Eileen had this dream or vision that this was going to be related to a mission to protect kids. And that it's, just so coincidental. Well, not coincidental at all, but God ordained that we met, and that I'm bringing this rifle that is the best tool for the job on the backs of SROs. And in addition to that, what I think to be partially true, at least, them going in and out of war zones, combat zones, or conflict zones to rescue women and children, and having these rifles on their backs will benefit them. So, double whammy: schools, protecting students, and saving women and children abroad.
And God ordained it. What do you know? Just the night before. All right, you guys, you see the headlines, you read the stories, and then the impact shows up in your own numbers. Balances rising and fees piling up. Minimum payments are designed to stretch debt out for years. That's why you need to check out PDS Debt. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and to craft a personalized plan that's designed just for you. There is no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, which is in your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. It boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google, and it holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS Debt has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. Every month you wait, it costs you more interest and fees. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. When the numbers are clear, you should act. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pdsdebt.com/Candace. Again, that's pdsdebt.com/Candace. All right, you guys, right now, gold is giving people a second chance, not because anything is wrong, but because markets move in cycles. Prices surge, they pause, they reset. When they do, smart investors pay attention. That's exactly what's happening right now. Gold pulled back after a strong run, and historically, moments like this don't last very long because the reasons to own gold still have not changed. Uncertainty is still here, inflation hasn't disappeared, and paper assets, well, they can shift overnight. Gold is different because it's tangible, it's proven, and it has stood the test of time. That's why I continue to buy gold and why I recommend that you at least take a serious look. My partners at Goldco make it simple. They are highly trusted with thousands of 5-star reviews, and right now they're offering a 10% bonus in free gold on qualified orders. But understand this, when momentum returns, prices can move quickly, and you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines wishing that you had acted sooner. So head to CandaceLikesGold.com for details. Again, that's CandaceLikesGold.com. I also want to tell you guys about Balance of Nature because you know those days when you just feel a little bit off? As a mom, I've had plenty of them between juggling work, family, and everything else. Eating perfectly balanced meals every day just is not realistic. That's why I started paying attention to what might be missing from my nutrition. Balance of Nature makes it super simple. They use real whole food ingredients, fruits and veggies taken through a special vacuum cold process to help preserve nutrients. Then it's all powdered and put into an easy daily routine with no fillers or unnecessary additives. And here's the thing that I really love, those natural colors, the smells, and the flavors in fruits and vegetables. They come from phytonutrients, which is exactly what our bodies need more of. And if you've been curious, a great place to start is their whole health system. It includes fruit and veggies, plus fiber and spice supplements, 47 whole food ingredients in total. So whether you've been on the fence for a long time or it's the first time that you are hearing about them, I recommend that you go to balanceofnature.com and order the whole health system supplements as a preferred customer today. Again, that's balanceofnature.com. There are so many connecting themes here with just everything that I've been discussing on my podcast, obviously just investigating this Charlie Kirk story. And that brings me back to this obvious relationship Eileen has with Erika. And this is very similar. You know, I was there when Charlie and her met, and it's this, godly. Everything is godly. It's all about this is what God wants. And this is like, and how easily Charlie fell for that and believed that, okay, yeah, this woman is just so godly, and speaking to her exes as I did, and one of them telling me that she would say she had like a vision or a dream of someone that he was close to after he had opened up that this person was close to him in his life, particularly this ex-boyfriend was speaking about his grandfather, and then she'd say that, your grandfather visited me in a dream. So it's again establishing that connection. There's a pattern here that I'm recognizing, and I think it's, like I said, been one of the major connecting themes, and just kind of looking into the story of sort of what changed at Turning Point USA and the direction that it went into. I don't want to get ahead of myself there. So you've done this, you've established this connection, you do believe to some degree that it must be godly. You've now handed them the keys to your deepest insecurities, right, about yourself. And I'm sure it felt in equal parts like cathartic, right? Getting that out. You don't seem like the kind of person who runs up and talks a lot to people and says, hey, let me tell you my deepest, darkest secrets.
Right.
Um,
I'm pretty open to people that I feel see me. But in general, no, I'm pretty standoffish.
Right. So now the four of you are, in this God vision
Right.
together. I'm obviously saying that tongue in cheek. What happens next?
So we go home. I believe we had a hotel that we were staying in, but we left the next day. And so this was, again, early December. So I get to work on the signature series, the Victor Marx signature series. We run through a bunch of ideas on color schemes and features, what suppressor, what backpack, all these. Now, how is this rifle going to be presented? It's got to be nice. And so we came up with something, and it was a pretty cool rifle. But I had it ready for SHOT Show. So SHOT Show is the largest gun show in the country, probably the world, but in the country, annual. It happens in Vegas every year, and sometimes late January. I think sometimes some years it happens late February. But this year of 24, in January, it happened in late January. So we're communicating back and forth, and the color scheme and all the accessories have been picked, and we built a few units to be able to be able to give him a couple at the show. And he had his FFL2 federal firearms license, and so we transferred a couple to him at the show, and had a few for our display in our booth. And well, backing up just a little bit, I asked him. Well, I told him that I'm going to ask my then girlfriend to marry me, and in text before the show, like what, maybe 5 days before the show, and I can't remember if he pro-offered it or if I asked him. I think I asked him, hey, you're going to be there. You're a pastor. Let's get married. 30-minute ceremony. We'll be in and out quick. He's like, oh yeah, we'll do that. And so I had gotten a ring, and it traveled through 4 different continents, and arrived at our Airbnb in Vegas the night of the day of the wedding. And I was just dressed in like jeans and my work boots and just a button-up shirt, and she had a pretty cheap, easy dress that she got. It looked beautiful, but we just like, this was a rush job, and I actually hadn't even asked her to marry me. Like, oops, wait. So the day of, I asked her. We were just walking down the hallway, and by the way, she was my CEO of the company, and she had been working there for at least 2 years by that point in time, and just bang up job. Like, she's good. And so anyways, asked her to marry me that day. We go up to Victor's hotel room. We have some of our industry friends attend with us, and they got video and pictures, and it was super special for her because she just adored Victor and had followed him for many years. And the ceremony was perfect and simple, and just it was nice. So try not to get too sentimental here, but we read each other's vows to each other. Victor was there; he officiated it. We had our marriage certificate that we ran into the courthouse and grabbed real quick, and we got a picture of him signing it with us sitting down behind him. And once we got the photo op, we walked to the other side of the room and just mingling with our friends, and we're looking over, and he's talking to Eileen, and I already know what's going on. Like, he's not certified to do this in Nevada. I already know it. And so and so they're just talking it back and forth, and he's like trying to decide if he's gonna sign it or not. And so I'm like, hey, is it just because we're in Nevada? He's like, yeah, I don't have a license here because there's a block on the form where you're going to put your license number.
Mm.
And I was like, well, it's fine. Just sign it. We'll go back to Texas and just do our county deal after this, but we'll keep this. Doesn't need a license on it. We're not going to file it here anyways. So no big deal, right? Red flag,
Does he
but
have a license even in Colorado?
I don't know. So that was that. And got done with SHOT Show. It was a great event. Got a lot of videos, pictures. Everybody was shaking hands and meeting Victor and meeting us, and it was a very nice SHOT Show. And normally I hate going to I've been to SHOT Show ever since 2012. Hadn't missed a year and just absolutely hated it. Just all the walking and hauling stuff around and having to be here and there and unpacking stuff, and the logistics is just nightmare, but
This one was pretty memorable.
this was nice.
So things are looking good.
Mhm.
When is the first time, I guess, you guys had any sort of a shift in that narrative? Like a just, we're all on the same page. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's what our goal is. We've got your signature series, good looking gun. You're getting us married. When's the first time you had a hiccup?
Hmm. Well, I guess, I'll get there. So
Yeah, take me wherever you want. Don't, I want to get the full story.
he went on well, we had an opportunity pop up, and I believe it was March or April-ish, and Sebastian Gorka, had me on once, and, me and him had talked quite a few times and text message based, and, he loved the gun, right? He's a gun guy, and so me and him kinda connected, and he said, "Okay, well, I see you guys signature series, Victor, been trying to get him on my show forever, and, you know, let's talk about this cool mission, and let's get y'all on." So, I did not wanna go on. Um, I didn't wanna be on video, can't you tell? And, then I texted Victor, "Hey, Victor, Sebastian wants you to get on with him and talk about the FoldAR. He's been trying to get you on, he's been bugging me, like, just go on with it, dude. My wife will be there to support you through this." And Victor's like, "Yeah, oh, I do this all the time. It ain't no problem." And
tell us the genesis before we talk about Victor and the very exciting plans you have for this weapon. What is the genesis? How did you get this idea?
So our inventor, Corby, he's my husband also, but he came out with the product about 7 years ago. And he came out with it because he was looking for a way to get the AR to be more compact, and decided to take the barrel nut off. And then when he figured that out, he figured that you could also fold it. And after a lot of testing and a couple of years of development, he made this a possibility.
What is your mission now, Victor?
Well, I'll tell you, everyone knows that time in a critical life and death situation makes the biggest difference. And this weapon platform, not only being an outstanding high-end platform to shoot, it is absolutely the best product in order to engage a hostile threat in a school, bar none. And again, with it being carried in a backpack, it keeps the level of anxiety down for students to watch. So we know this is a lifesaver. And what we want to do is to be able to see every resource officer, first starting in the state of Texas, have one of these, and then it's spreading throughout the United States so that our children will be made safe.
so Victor goes on, and they talk about the FoldAR a little bit. I think Sebastian asked her, I think your lesser half, he's the inventor, and, tell us how he came up with it." And she spit off some stuff. It was good, but, um, then Victor came in and was talking about the All Things Possible mission and said that, we're gonna make it a mission to get one of these FoldARs on the back of every SRO in the nation, starting with Texas. I was kinda shocked. Oh, I didn't think he was gonna say that, but yeah, let's do this. And, the idea was to set up a 501(c)(3) and figure out how to get donations coming in for schools, particularly rural schools that don't have immediate access to SWAT teams or funding. And let's get these moving. So that happened, and it wasn't too long before we had a school that needed 5 and didn't have the budget for it. It was local to us, and we built them up, and we talked to Victor about it to get that funded, and there was kind of some pushback. And, I got to run this through the ATP board. They didn't know that I was going to do that, and they're kind of wormy about the whole gun thing. And I'm going, okay, yeah, you do what you got to do. But I got 5,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I think it was either $13,000 or $15,000, and the suppressors and backpack and like optics and all the stuff on it that they need to just train and get ready and go deploy them. And so he eventually did. We paid for him to build them up front, and we're not making a lot of guns every year anyway, so funding that out of pocket is kind of a hit, but we did it. And he did send a check to us, and we got the guns to the high school or the ISD, and they loved them. We got some photo ops. Victor didn't come for that, but we really wanted him to. And so we delivered those in the summer of 24. And that was the only one that Victor ATP purchased. My wife had created this fairly long list of schools, and they would fill out a template. We want the guns, we will use them, and we don't have a budget for them, and/or we're located in a area where there's not a quick access to first responders.
Mm-hmm.
And if they check the boxes off and put it on their letterhead, and we would take it in and have it ready for ATP. And just never, after summer of 24, there was no attempts for
School resource officers.
Yeah.
In that context, yeah.
Right. But there were requests for other guns. And so moving forward into August. Yeah, I'll jump to August. Let's get into it.
Mm.
So Victor messages me, says, "Hey, I need a 1,000-yard capable rifle that has a scope on it and a camera attached to the scope." Like, okay, I can put that together. I actually already have the components. I don't have to buy anything. And he needs me to deliver it to him pretty quickly. And says he tells me that it's for, well, let's just hold up there then. So I build this thing out. It's got a proof research barrel on it. It's a carbon fiber precision barrel. It's like $1,100 barrel. And 223 16-inch barrel with I had like a $5,000 scope on it. I'd had it for a while, so it's just like, he'll make better use of it than me.
You're just gonna give him a $5,000 scope.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with a camera attached to it.
Mhm.
Like, I literally had this already set up, but I hadn't used it in a while. So I take it up to Victor, and the conversation is I want to, and this is with me and him privately, that's where, the meat of the conversations always come in. He wants to blow the head off of somebody that sticks their head up over the fence around this orphanage in Haiti, and they have a tower in the middle of it, like some kind of watchtower. Because apparently
In the middle of
they're
the orphanage?
of the orphanage.
Okay.
And, he's saying that people are jumping over the fence, climbing over, and trying to rob or whatever the orphanage. And so, I tell him, yeah, I'm not going to leave it here if that's what you're doing. And, we had a conversation before about shooting watermelons, a previous conversation about shooting watermelons at 1,000 yards. But when I got there, the conversation shifted. Now we're in person, and he wants to talk about
Shooting people.
shooting people. Yeah.
And I just wanna back this up. When he's initially, because we do have that message and we're gonna show that message, when you guys are initially having that conversation about shooting watermelons, like, did you think he was talking about watermelons, or did you think it could be code because you kinda know him a little bit now, like, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just wondering if we could" or were you thinking like, "No, he just really means, like, if we were to test it with the watermelon," like, what was your thought process when you were first having the conversation via text about shooting watermelons from 1,000 yards? Did you think that there might have been some innuendo, reading between the lines? No, you just thought he was shooting straight because he had never made a
Yeah.
weird request before this. So you were
Right.
like, he just wants to know if, okay. So then
Yeah.
you're like, says, let's have this conversation face to face. And when you say you meet up, this is in Colorado?
Yes.
Okay. So does he have a place in Texas, or are we always Colorado?
Oh, yeah. We always met in
In Colorado.
Colorado at his house.
And just to get our timeline right, this is August of 2024.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're face to face, and he's like, actually, there's this orphanage, and people are climbing over this fence in the orphanage, and there's happens to be a tower in the middle, and we just want to shoot these people because we want to protect this orphanage.
Yeah.
Because what are they doing at this orphanage? Presumably stealing orphans, trafficking children?
I don't know.
He didn't say that explicitly.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I say, I'm not going to leave this. That's not what my rifles are for. I mean, for a military guy, I will sell my rifles to military and law enforcement, and it's assumed that they may shoot people with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in this context of a mercenary type operation that doesn't have oversight, no.
And did you wonder why he was doing that at all? Because I mean, he's a pastor, he's doing a routine. Like I have a priest. If my priest was suddenly like, "Hey, Candace, can I have some guns to go shoot an orphanage on a mercenary mission?" I'd be like, "Oh, this is a new side of you." Is he telling you, like, you've met armed forces guy at his property? Like, are you shocked at even the proposition of him doing this? Or does he kind of speak this way and tell you that he's connected and whatever? Like, how are you processing that request?
Well, I just simply said, yeah, I'm just not going to leave it here.
You're
And
not
so
processing. It's just
I'm not processing it. I'm just, again, I'm happy that I'm there in person now. We can talk about, like, I got this list of schools that are ready for guns. And there's that bond has been established.
Mhm.
He is my spiritual authority figure. Like, I'm not to question, I am to do. And I was
Wow.
there to deliver. So, but, I told him, well, why don't you just like we were talking about, eat the watermelon. Just do the watermelon. Like, oh, okay. Well, like, and backing up. So shooting the head off of a person transpired into, well, I'm going to go in and execute or capture Jimmy Barbecue.
Okay.
And the first time I've ever heard of this guy, I don't know who he is. I'm still like, yeah, no. Again, back to the watermelons. He's like, yeah, I said, just put the watermelon up on the fence, shoot it, get your propaganda video. That's what the whole thing was about, was shooting somebody climbing over, got it on camera. We can distribute it out in the Haiti land and they won't jump over anymore. Like, I see the good intention behind it, but yeah, no. And then, transitioned into a little bit more detail. Like maybe if I tell him that it's to kill Jimmy Barbecue, who is causing all the ruckus in Haiti anyways, then he'll agree.
Okay, so I do want to just take the second now to just show a brief clip to my audience of the media context of who Jimmy Barbecue is. Some people do not follow politics, global politics, and what we were told Jimmy Barbecue is and was during this time frame, August 2024. Take a listen.
Jimmy Chirizier, universally referred to here as Barbecue, is the head of one of the most powerful gangs in Port-au-Prince. But he's also the head of a gang consortium that's brought Haiti to its knees. Barbecue sees himself as a revolutionary for the people, and he rails against corrupt politicians and oligarchs. He dismisses all the efforts underway here to form a transitional council that will govern Haiti. Inside his territory, despite the poverty, life is relatively peaceful and organised. Unlike in much of Port-au-Prince, queues for food Barbecue gets brought in are orderly. Usually it's chaos. But here people wait knowing that there are enough supplies for the whole community. And this is a source of Barbecue's strength. To the outside world, he may be a gangster, but here he's a sort of Robin Hood.
Okay, so he's saying to you, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to capture or I'm going to kill. You say, not with my weapon, actually. And let's talk about school resource officers. What happens next?
Well, right after the Jimmy Barbecue, that's when I brought it back to the watermelons, and he seemed to agree. Kind of reluctant, annoyed manner, like, why are you questioning me?
Mm.
Maybe he was testing me. I don't know. I don't know what his intentions were. I just know what was said to me. So I didn't have a concern at that point, though, because he's like, yeah, we could do the watermelon. It's not a bad idea. And so from there, I left the gun with him. And, there was no discussion about schools, or maybe there was, and it was just kind of like, just nothing was, yeah, we're still on board with the mission, but, I'm dealing with this and that, and I got this mission coming up, and just never went anywhere. So, yeah, we left, and then there was another, I skipped over a meeting. I went in June.
Mm-hmm.
The June meeting is the one I don't really remember what I did. I know I went alone, but I don't remember. I didn't deliver anything as far as I remember. But, there was a June trip that I made. And the August one I do remember specifically. There was text messages surrounding it that I was able to reference against. So then in November, then he comes to Texas to my facility. And so the intent is that we're going to tour the shop. He had a couple fly him down on their private plane, and I picked them up from the airport, and we went to the shop and toured the shop. And during that tour, pretty early on, he was there for probably 4-ish hours. And, when we got alone on the shop floor and between the machines, he's like, "Hey, I still got this Haiti stuff going on, and I need 50 guns to take and drop off in Haiti." And I said, "Well, that's a embargo country, so I I mean, I've exported guns by this point to many different countries, and I know the process, and it's not easy every time, anytime really." And I just knew that Haiti wasn't on that list, on the approved export list. So I was like, "Nah, I can't do that one because like Haiti's like the last place they're going to let me export guns, probably the last place." And so I said, "I suggest you don't do that with any other firearms either. Just, I'm assuming that he just doesn't know the export laws.
Mhm.
Why am I assuming this? I don't know. But he's a high risk humanitarian abroad. He's been to all these other countries, done operations in. Hindsight 2020. Of course he knew that you can't take guns and drop them off into Haiti."
Did you, and I'm sorry to cut you off here, but I have a question about that. The other countries he had visited, did he ever give you again the context? Because I'm just going in my own point of reference. My priest was like, "Yeah, and I did these high risk humanitarian things. What's your background? How are you getting on these missions? Who are you working for?" Did he ever give you that context or just, okay, so that might have
No.
been why it didn't really flag you that he was going to Haiti because it was kind of a part of something that you knew he had done or he says he has done in many other countries.
Yeah, and then, there was already the visit before that there was Haiti discussions, and told me
Mhm.
about the orphanage, told me about Jimmy Barbecue and the gang violence that was around. So I kind of knew the context already. It's just like, okay, well, you're, I've already told you no once, and then you're bringing me something that's even, because you can, I suppose if you have whatever license or approval, State Department or whatever kind of approval it is, where you can go as a private citizen with your own gun and get out, do your thing, and keep your gun on you. I suppose that that's a legal thing. I would have to research that, but it seems to be that that's a thing that is done commonly.
Mm.
Um, but leaving guns, I know that you can't do that. Not in Haiti.
Yeah, I think that's called weapons trafficking, but I'm
Yep.
not positive.
Yep. So told him no. Told him, don't be going to some other manufacturer and getting 50, and I'm trying to look out for you, Pops. Listen to me. Um, so I also told him that, if you place an order for 50 guns with my wife next week, can't sell you the guns because I already know now. So, like, let's not talk about this anymore. Like, okay, I'll figure it out.
What did he say he wanted to do with who was he dropping those guns off for?
Didn't tell me that.
Okay.
All I was told it was for protection of the orphanage.
And you don't know what they're protecting.
I don't know any details about it other than I was told it was a 200-acre property. I don't know if that's true or not.
Mhm.
I was told that there was a tower in the middle of it and a pretty tall fence around the perimeter of it.
Okay.
Wasn't told how many kids are there or who mans it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just other than him needing a long range to make a propaganda video and then the 50 to do, I'm not sure.
Okay. What happens next?
Well, that's not the most dramatic or juicy portion of the story, but
Remind me, because I'm taking some notes on what you're saying, because I do have some questions I'm going to want to come back to, but go ahead.
yeah, no problem. So there was not another meeting until the final meeting, which was in early April.
Okay.
And so the context around this meeting was multifaceted.
Are we in Colorado?
Yeah, in Colorado. And I would drive up there again, and it was by myself. The context around this meeting was, like I said, multifaceted. It was issues between me and my spouse. We were talking about biblical things, relationship. I mean, he was mentoring me, what I viewed to be mentoring at the time, during this whole relationship, and things were starting to pile up in April, so Trump got elected in November of 24, and in the gun industry, we have what's called the Trump slump. Anytime a Republican is elected, then the demand for firearms goes down. So things get pretty tough. You have to pivot as a manufacturer to survive in that environment. And we didn't have the resources to pivot. And it was getting tough. Yeah, actually, I forget, we went to SHOT Show again in January of 25.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have possibly been a February year, but I believe it was January 25. And, so it was our anniversary. It was pretty rough because sales were already going down. And just to be honest, I was struggling with substance abuse with THC.
Smoking pot.
Gummies or vapes.
Okay.
Yep.
How often? Just kind of living high?
No. Well, yeah, daily, but
Yeah. Gummies, popping gummies. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other stronger substances?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you drinking too?
No, not drinking.
Okay. So you're THC.
Yeah. That's, I'd done that since 2020.
Mm-hmm. I think you sent me a thing, and you and your wife both smoked pot. You were both THC users, so to speak. Oh, I guess we'll focus more on you, but I'm just saying that this was something that was already known to the Marx family, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm asking more bluntly.
Yeah. Yeah, and, anxiety issues with the past. I didn't want to get on any SSRIs or anything like that again. And weed, as long as I moderated it, it was a pretty good regulator of anxiety for me, as long as I didn't go overboard with it. But it became, one of those dependency things. You just got to have a little bit more, and then you get kind of dependent on it. And but now I had needed to pivot. 2024, the end of 2024. Early 2025, we needed to pivot, and I wasn't able to do it. I was functionally in decline. And, the ATP thing wasn't helping.
Mm-hmm.
The signature series, we did sell some of them, but it wasn't, just skyrocketing business or anything.
So you now got the added financial pressure, which is what causes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, with my wife's involvement, the prior 3 years, we made the Inc. 5000 list in 25. Although, it was just, we got the notice in, she had worked so hard on it. And, with her in the CEO position, we had increased our revenue by 350%.
Wow.
In the prior 3 years. So we earned 1608 position in the country and 60th fastest manufacturer and first in the region, fastest growing company in the region. Wow, we're like, oh man, we're tanking fast.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all building up on me, and I'm again going back to Victor and one of his guys, Chaz, for any kind of support. More so like help me figure out, number one, I'm ready to get off of THC because I got to make this pivot and I've got to like bring my high functioning self back.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't any help there, maybe a couple nudges here and there, but, and there's a text message history that I've gone through recently, and it makes sense now. All of it makes sense. But
A text message chain between you and Victor
and Chaz,
and Chaz, who is, just so my audience is aware, Chaz is his COO.
COO.
Victor Marx is COO of All Things Possible.
Right.
Okay. And what is it about that text chain that makes sense? Because you've mentioned it, so I think we want to, like, hindsight is 2020. But what element makes sense? Like, you're looking at this message, you're going, aha, what?
Well, there was a point in there, and I don't remember which month it was, but I was in a suicide crisis for a moment, and my message to Victor was, "Hey, I'm in the parking lot of Walmart, and I had bought this life insurance policy like 7 years prior, and I shopped around for one that had a suicide allowance in it for that specific reason."
Mm-hmm.
And I knew, I was sitting in that parking lot, I was crying and said, God's telling me that if I do this, he's not going to take me. So, Victor's response is, well, of course, don't do that. The lawyers, they'll always find a loophole. Okay. And the next message is, well, I can just have you disappeared. I can have you knocked off. I can have you knocked off or disappeared to a banana plantation in South America.
So you're in the parking lot, you've said that, you're going through the suicide crisis, and that's what he comes back with. And this is supposed to be your minister, pastor, spiritual director. Wow. Also want to tell you guys about Active Skin Repair, because when it comes to my kids and family, I don't take chances with what goes on their skin. That's why Active Skin Repair is the product that I always keep on hand. What makes Active Skin Repair different is that it uses the same proprietary formulation that's trusted in hospitals. The key ingredient is a molecule that's called hypochlorous acid. When it's applied to the skin, the molecule works by mimicking the natural immune response to cleanse, soothe irritation, reduce inflammation, and support healing. Active Skin Repair can be used to treat a wide variety of skin issues, including cuts, scrapes, burns, sunburns, diaper rashes, acne, eczema, and other types of skin issues. It's also safe and non-toxic, making it suitable for use on all skin types, all parts of the body and face. Active Skin Repair is the product that I trust to help my family get back to doing what they love. So if you're looking for something gentle, effective, and family safe, I highly recommend keeping Active Skin Repair in your home. To learn more and to get 20% off your order, visit ActiveSkinRepair.com and use code Candace at checkout. Again, that's ActiveSkinRepair.com with promo code Candace at checkout. You can also find Active Skin Repair on Amazon and at your local CVS. Also, I have to remind you guys about Tax Network USA, because maybe you owe back taxes, or you've not filed tax returns, or you have filed every year, but you still keep owing. Maybe you retired, suddenly you got hit with a tax bill that you didn't expect, or you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early, and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issue started, the outcome is always the same. You feel like the balance is never going down. Penalties grow, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again for this upcoming tax year with no plan in place. Stop what you're doing and call Tax Network USA. With over 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case that they have not seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies, and they help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They're offering a free investigative call with the IRS, and after that investigation, they put a clear plan in place to resolve your tax problem and to get you back on track. So do not wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Instead, call 866-686-1651 or visit tnusa.com/Candace. Again, that's tnusa.com/Candace. And the reason why I'm encouraging you to talk about this is because he will use this against you. And I also just want to say to you, like, you shouldn't feel weird about that. That's the number one reason that men commit suicide. This is why men have a higher suicide rate than women. The financial pressure, the stress of finances is, like, there are going to be so many men watching this that can relate to that. And so when you kind of keep that inside and, like, I'm sure, like, I feel ashamed, like all of that stuff, this is, I feel like, why he was able to manipulate you and why he's so like, well, he's got mental health issues. And first off, knowing that this man is supposed to be your spiritual director, like, mine's obviously my priest in London. I couldn't imagine my priest going on an Instagram live, no matter what happens. Like, if I leave the Catholic Church and I become the enemy of the Catholic Church, there is something that is so violating about him coming out and saying, like, you're actually going to who you're supposed to go to, right? And obviously you're Protestant, so you're thinking, this guy is telling me he's a pastor, he married me, this is the person, when I am thinking I want to kill myself, that I should be able to lock this into a box, and he's going to talk me through this and remind me that financial pressure comes and goes. Like, I remember having $9 in my bank account and, like, sleeping in my car. The feeling of that financial anxiety and what that can do, it can be so crippling. And he's just using that against you.
And with knowledge that I was on THC, I was very open about it and asking for help.
So this becomes sort of this entry point of how he's just on the radio right now. Like, well, he's got mental health issues, and well, try being broke and trying to figure everything out. And I think everybody develops a little bit of a mental health issue.
Right.
So I just wanted to just give you,
just
to know that that's not something that he shouldn't have made you feel about that the way he made you feel about it.
I guess in his mind he was joking, but looking back at the totality of circumstances, it was something else going on there. And
he didn't call you? I mean, I would just think that, like, if somebody texted me and said, hey, I'm in a parking lot and, like, I'm thinking about killing myself, my instinct would be to call, not send a text.
And I'll just go to say, though, that I was being told that you can't do this because God won't take you. So I'm telling him at the same time, these are the thoughts going through my head, but I'm not going to do it because, it's not going to work out well for me, if you know what I mean. But yeah, the response was he didn't call. And the response was, looking back on it, it was manipulative. Now, for the record, after having studied scripture as much as I have since this time period forward, I'm not suicidal. Put that on the record. And I will not kill myself, and I'm not having suicidal thoughts. So clear that.
You were having a low moment.
Yep.
And looking for a friend or a spiritual director.
Yeah.
A lot going on,
And I'm off substances. I was able to. I did get off a month before, so in February I stopped THC in February of 25.
Mhm.
So that's a year and a few months ago, and it took a while to detox from that. But yeah, I returned to my normal high functioning self.
Mhm.
I would say it took probably 9 months to fully come back.
Mm.
So skipping over a bunch of time there, um, there was a visit coming up in April, so this was still compounding. Got rid of the THC in February-ish, but withdrawals are starting leading up to April. And I'm still, I'm having issues during this withdrawal cycle. And I tell Victor that, I'm separating from my wife.
Financial issues, marital issues kind of
Mhm.
tends to go hand in hand. I think it's the number
Yeah.
one reason for divorce.
Yeah, it is. At least in my experience. But
You've got a little bit of experience.
got a little
Yeah.
bit. So he says, I'll fly you up here. And I don't fly up there. Don't fly very much at all. So I drove up there, and when I arrive, and I guess let me fill in the gap here. So again, spiritual mentor relationship. At this point, I'm off THC. I'm in the Bible, just studying the heck out of it. At the same time, I'm supposed to be pivoting my business to figure out how to survive in this new market. And a lot going on. And as I'm doing more research in the Bible, I'm also seeing things that don't look right. And I'm particularly interested in at this time in deceptive Christianity. And so I come across some what I consider to be false spiritual leaders in the Christian quote unquote movement. And I'm telling Victor about what I'm finding. And he wants me to talk to Chaz about those things. So I'm talking to Chaz too and sending him what I'm finding. And to them, I look like I'm kind of in a panic mode of discovery, and they're not really responsive, but they're just in their mind, they're like, okay, Corby's going through all this stress, and he's talking about separating from his wife, and he's coming off of THC, and we just need him here. And so, I get there, Colorado Springs, show up at the hotel and pretty late at night, and they meet me at the hotel, and we sit down at one of the dining tables, and I don't notice they got bulletproof vests on. And once we sat down, like tapped on Victor's chest where it was, and he's like, "Yeah, we just got these in, and I'm breaking them in." I was like, "Oh, cool. It's flexible," and he like kind of shakes it around. He's like, "Yeah, this thing is a little bit stiff right now, but it's a really nice vest." Like, okay, not thinking anything. Like, I'm not thinking, well, we'll get there, I guess. So they can tell I'm just like worn out. I'm drained. And Victor says, well, it kind of tells me what we're going to do the next day, and says that we're going to do another retooling prayer. And I said, I was respectful. And I looked at him and I said, no, I'm not doing another retooling prayer. Like I've figured out how to get rid of my own sin. And so if I was to just keep coming back to you for deliverance, then that would be me making an idol of you. And that would be worshiping you. And I could see the grin on his face, like he was annoyed, but it was concealed enough that he brushed it off, didn't snap back or anything, didn't say any kind of snarky comment back, and he just took it. And so then he was telling me about what they were doing that day. And it was some kind of big event. I didn't look it up, but what I heard was there was 3,500 men there. And it was kind of like some kind of spiritual, manly macho-ness of learning how to be warriors for Christ or warriors for God or something like that. And
Men's retreat.
Yeah.
Were they all veterans, do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But nonetheless, he told me about a board meeting. Well, he was talking to Chaz, really, but sitting right there. And he told me about some of the people that were in this board meeting. Perhaps it was like part call in and part in person, but he was telling me some of the people that were part of this. And the name that come up was Lance Wallnow and Rex Crane. And, those are two people that I had already seen and discovered that they were part of this prosperity gospel, ultra charismatic type movement.
NARS.
NAR.
New Apostolic Reformation. It's come up in my research about China.
Yeah. So again, I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to do this dude a favor and kind of point these things out to him. These, the doctrine that these people are preaching, like I'm doing Victor a favor. And so I'm at the hotel. I'm in my room at that point. Chaz is down the hallway from me. And, I'm sending Chaz all this stuff. Chaz, look at this guy. Look what he's teaching, 7 Mountain Mandate. Like what? We're not here to make the world suitable for Jesus Christ to return. It like that. That's not how it goes. Taking over pillars of society. Are you kidding me? Like, what are y'all doing in organizations with these people? And so basically no responses.
Yeah. You kicked the hornet's nest with that one.
It.
Real good.
Yeah, I did.
Little did you know.
Little. Very little. So I go to Victor's the next day. I'm not doing any retooling prayer. So we're going to basically do a detox regimen and walk around his track and, talk about all the things that I've been wanting to talk about. And he wasn't really wanting to hear any of it. So, we would just kind of shift from subject to subject. We would talk about end times, prophecy, and we'd talk about marriage. Um, and it's not to say that all of that advice that he gave me was bad. It wasn't. It was a mixture. It was a mixture of good advice and like, what are you thinking? Like, we're still talking about guns to Haiti?
He brought it up again.
No,
Yeah.
it was just being facetious, but it was like that. It was always, okay, what's my next mission? When can we get some more guns? Or, well, the bigger topic was selling the business or getting an investor. And actually, backing up, probably back in December, we had talked about, hey, we need an investor, we need to sell the business. It was probably January, actually. So we need to sell the business. I'm having the suicidal issue. I'm having the this and the that issue. And hey, this is time for me to move along and figure something else out. Let's get somebody to invest or take it over. And so we had built up an investment package and emailed financials. And Victor said that he had people looking at it and, like a $20 million valuation for the business and patent. And, I was all about it, just sell it and like relax for a bit. I mean, this has been almost 19 years of craziness. Just to tell you, Candace, this story with Victor is not even the craziest thing that's happened in my life related to this business. It's not. But it's right on up there. So yeah, I'm there for, hey, let's talk about the business too. I got all this other stuff I want to talk about, but we got 4 days here. I ended up saying 3. Did not stay the 4th day. But we're talking about everything. And so as we're going with this conversation, well, this first day was detox, like I said. He put me in this sauna that had like this light thing, frequency thing. And it had all these colors on it. And it was already clicking, like everything's clicking for me. I'm recognizing stuff at this point. And I look at it and it's like got all these frequencies that you can select for healing certain issues of the body or mental or whatever. And it's a sauna. You just get in it and turn to the light frequency you want and sit in there for a while. In my mind, I'm going like, dang, that's new age. Like light frequencies to heal. Like, why are we doing this? Things are starting to click a little bit more. Anyways, I get in it, whatever. I'm trying not to be rude. I'm just trying to survive this trip. And so I do that. We do some exercises. We walk, we talk. Victor goes and does some other stuff on the property. And I think he left the property a couple of times and left me with Jazz, and bodyguard was there the whole time, like within a few paces of me. If we were walking, he was walking behind us. And everybody has their bulletproof vests on. I don't see Eileen anywhere the whole time. And so the 3rd day is where most of the weirdness starts coming in and showing itself. And so 3rd day, we're walking around the track, and he's telling me that we're talking about business at this point. And he tells me that, well, Sig Sauer is going to be involved in this acquisition, but he didn't want to say details. Like, okay, well, they're a big company. They can afford it. It'd probably be a good technology for them. And I know that they're in law enforcement, so they'd be down with the school resource officer mission, surely. That was a condition was, hey, SROs, you got to be committed to that. And then, enough money to where, not that we didn't have to work, but that we wouldn't have to run the business. And we would have breathing space to not have to work, a regular job if we didn't want to. And not necessarily for the rest of our life, but just like good breathing space.
Mm.
That was the conditions, which is kind of wide open, right? And so he tells me that 6 hours involved. He tells me that Daniel Horner got one of my FoldARs, and who's the top shooter in the world that shoots for SIG. He got a FoldAR, and he gave it the thumbs up. To Victor, who Victor represented, had a personal relationship with him. And so like everything's fallen into place, and I'm kind of, this could be a good thing. And then Victor tells me what he really wants to do. I was like, tells me, 51%, and we could only come up with a valuation of $2 million. And
It's just so crazy.
just for transparency, I put $2 million into it at the start.
It's mind-boggling that he would even try it, but
Yeah.
he must really think that you were under his spell.
Well, I was coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it could be said that I'm not fully out of it even today. But yeah, $2 million valuation, and he wanted 51%, which meant that he was going to put a little over $1 million in and take control of the company. And I said, well, the money really isn't the biggest. It is a big issue, but like the money isn't the biggest issue. It is the 51%, and you're wanting the patent. I didn't say no, though. Didn't say no. So my response was, well, you're too busy. And he said, well, yeah, I am busy. But, with my connections and this and that you'll be able to manufacture without so much stress. And, we'll be behind you for funding, essentially, but, not really disclosing what that meant. So I've been down this road before. So again, I didn't reject it, and we went for another walk. And so we just continued talking about it. I remember one thing, what I was wanting to do, and me and my wife were wanting to do, was be a part of the actual mission. Like in our minds, we were thinking, if we're not working the company nonstop, then we want to be part of the mission, the ATP mission. Like, where do we fit in?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, your wife, that's an easy, we got orphanages, like it'd be perfect for her. But for you, like, you're just such an outlier. I don't really know. I'm not saying you don't fit anywhere. It's just like would have to figure that out. Like, okay, well, keep talking then. And so we're walking around the track up at the top where there's this camera tower. And, we're walking, and he's saying, well, Israel needs your guns. And that's when he stops walking. I stop. And then he tells the bodyguard to step back a few paces. And, I stop, and I'm looking at him, and I say, well, yeah, that they have 3,700 schools. They're going to put an IDF guy in each of the schools. And he's looking at me, he says, no, they need 50,000 for the IDF for operations in Gaza and Lebanon and Syria. So I'm just, at this point, like, it's too many too many red flags for me. I'm just staring at him, and he's staring back. And he finally starts walking again after 15 or so seconds, and he says, that's why I'm not ever engaging in scripture with you. And I start walking along with him, and I'm just wondering in my head, like, wow, what's scripture got to do with guns, IDF, and I'm not against the IDF. It's just what you're saying is that all the guns have to go to what about the school mission? Like, we agreed that this rifle is designed to protect kids in schools. So if 50,000 are going, like, who's going to make those? How long is it going to take? And like, how are we going to get guns on the back of SROs here? All going on in my head, and just confused about the whole situation. Like, where did this get so far off track? And so again, like, that was the moment that that I was done, but I didn't say it. And so, we're walking around, and I just, it's just, it's a blur at that point. I don't even know how. Oh, I don't know how I left, and
This is also when he says to you, I think that I could beat you up. And what he admitted to, he did say I could.
Oh yeah, my goodness,
The big part.
good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
so the 3,700 gun, I said 3,700 schools. Yeah, that's great. 3,700 schools in Israel. Then he says no, 50,000 guns in the IDF for the operations in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. And that's, our stare off. And he says, I could whoop your ass and there ain't nothing you could do about it. And inside, I'm kind of laughing, but I'm keeping a straight face and not doing it. Like, I made sure to keep looking at him.
Right.
And that's when he said, that's why I'm never engaging in scripture with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, like 10 things are happening in this sequence, and it's just shocking. And, thinking back of it, like, why did we stop right under the camera?
Right.
Like, was he trying to get me to come at him or what?
I think the whole weekend was kind of designed to intimidate you. I mean, from they're all wearing bulletproof. Why? You know him. He's supposed to be a friend of yours. We're just breaking these in. It just kind of feels like a military presence. So it's kind of, and again, this is my opinion, but like, it's supposed to subconsciously wrap you in this idea, like, we are a force and you're here alone. You don't have your wife here. Eileen's not here. It just feels very
Staged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
hearing it, that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. And it was,
And then he's leading up to this big question on the third day. No one's here. I could kick your butt. And the IDF wants this and you need the money, sort of a thing. You're desperate and, this is what we can do. This is what your company's worth. It's quite intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or meant to be intimidating.
I mean, I wouldn't say traumatic, but, again, you got to remember, like, just 3 months prior, I was in this suicide crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming off of THC.
Mm-hmm.
I was engaged in scripture. And then, like, all these red flags are popping up. And then that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's basically the end of the day for the third day. And, we left on good terms. I didn't never had one like crosswise conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he mentioned something about like a threatening innuendo, and was
Yeah, that's what he said.
That
It didn't even register as plausible given the fact
no.
that you were on his property, he's got his guys. I was like, no, like, I mean, who would try to size up and then be like, yeah, no, I'm going to take you on your own property with your own men all around with cameras in front? That didn't sound right to me. But
Yeah, and we did go into the rec room and was kicking around the bags and everything, stretching and doing this and that. But he said he looked down like a puppy. Because he even admitted that he made
he
that
admitted it,
threat.
yeah.
And see, I just like blocked that out of my mind just then. Crazy. But look down like a puppy. Like, no, that's not me. I don't like to fight. I don't fight. But that was kind of a low blow.
Yeah. Still kind of making you feel small.
Yeah.
So you get out of there a day early, and what happens thereafter? You're kind of now realizing what this is, maybe kind of adjacent to this sort of NARS cult, NAR cult, or New Apostolic Reformation, something.
No, I really didn't. I still thought in my mind that Victor was just unaware all the way through this point, just unaware of what he was involved with. That's how deep that bond had become, or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah. You can't see what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I'll leave the property, and I'm staying in Colorado for another month. And so I go get Airbnbs, jump around a little bit. I do a demo at Douglas County. I just drove up to Douglas County Sheriff's Department and walked in with my FoldAR on my back. It's a huge department, like 600 officers. I just walk in with my FoldAR and, declare it, and they find me the guy to talk to out of this huge police force. And the dude was just blown away by it, had never seen it. We got a demo set up the next week, came out and did a demo for him, and SWAT team came out, SROs came out, several of the other like armory guys, and they just loved it. So that's what I love doing, by the way, is I'm not a combat guy, but I will show anybody how to deploy the FoldAR, especially SROs and LE guys. And I'm really good at it, and I can talk them through the product and demonstrate really well. And that's what I enjoy most. So that was a good thing that I was able to do while I was still there. But I was there, I'd already set up intensive counseling. And Victor knew about it. I think he said that he paid for the counseling. Did not. I paid all of it. It was $13,000 with the counseling in the room. But I don't know why he said that he paid for it. He didn't. So my wife did come up. It was set up for individual counseling for me as an intensive 2-week deal. And I pressured her into coming. Like, we got to do marriage counseling. And so she did come up. We went through it. Did well and ended up getting back home. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the history of the last visit for Victor Marx.
So I want to also interject that in this same timeline, you did have one of your FoldARs went missing. And it's just relevant to bring this forward to, I think, kind of just an interesting just interesting. It certainly is interesting. You went out to sell an AR, and I want to get the timeline right. This is June of 2024.
Okay, so that one was June 24. That was an online purchase that we shipped to a gun store in Texas.
Right. Okay, and
so not an in-person.
It was not in person, and it was for a police officer down in Texas. And then you kind of got a phone call. I know I already told my audience this, but you get a phone call from the officer less than a month later, about a month later, maybe just over a month later, that the weapon was stolen out of his vehicle while he was in Midland, Texas.
Right.
And he gave you the case number or the report number.
Yeah, and he didn't
Scribble
call
on a
me.
piece of paper.
Yeah, when the incident happened, I didn't know about it.
Oh.
But he and on July the 4th, it was stolen. Purchased it in June. We shipped it to his gun shop. In June also, late June. And on July 4th, it was stolen in Midland out of his vehicle. And then he notified the Midland Police Department, took a report, serial number, and a report number. And
so he didn't give you that report number?
Not during then. It was actually, it was only a few weeks ago.
Okay, so you actually didn't know that it had been stolen until a couple of weeks ago?
No.
After the ATF?
I got the ATF trace on September the 10th.
Okay, so
25.
Just to kind of get our ducks in a row here, June 2024, it's an online sale. It's going to a police officer in Texas. The police officer does not inform you, but gets the gun stolen from him, I should say, in Midland, Texas. The story is, he says, which you'll find out later, is that there is his window was open or something while he went into the gas station. Someone grabbed it, and he called the police, the local police. Obviously, he's a police officer, but not in Midland, and filed a report for this missing gun. You actually did not find out right away. You did not know at all that this gun was missing or had been stolen until what next happens is on the day that Charlie was killed.
Right.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. I thought that you found out immediately, that he just kind of gave you, hey, just a heads up or whatever. Okay, that's interesting. So on September 10th, you get this email, which we are going to show, which is from the ATF, which what they are performing is something that's called an ATF trace. What I've explained to my audience is that when they do this trace, it's because this weapon has popped up, typically always, I think, in a crime, and they're trying to trace the gun and who's the manufacturer, who sold the gun, I guess sort of whose hands have crossed it. Am I describing that correctly?
Right.
And you have 24 hours to respond to this email.
Right.
Or I don't know. I guess they swing in the doors. I don't know what happens actually. What if you miss deadline? But you're not going to test that out, right? So you instantly respond to the email. Obviously, this is now on the morning of Charlie Kirk's assassination, which is definitely interesting. It's definitely something that piqued your interest. Of, okay, I get this trace, and suddenly this gun that I think is all good and belongs to a police officer in Texas is coming up in an ATF trace. This is really interesting. I did not appreciate this when you first told me the story. I thought police officer had instantly informed you. So you're thinking that's kind of weird. I now know that this gun is potentially been used in a crime. What happened to this gun? You contact the person that you sold it to, a police officer, and much later, not on the day of Charlie's assassination.
Right.
I'm sure, because you just don't know what to think of this, obviously. Lots going on. How much later-ish? Doesn't need to be perfect. Couple months, couple weeks. Because it's kind of in the back of your head,
it was about, I would say, about 4 weeks ago from today, a month ago. So
very recently.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of in the back of your mind, like, that was a weird thing. And I don't know why this would be involved in a crime at all, because I sold it to a police officer. Feels kind of safe. And at that moment, did you leave a message on his phone when you called? Or did he pick up instantly?
He picked up instantly.
Okay. And he told you the story of, oh, actually, that's so funny that you say that. and you ask him, hey, did the ATF call you? He tells you the ATF did not call him, actually. They called you, and
Well, didn't call me. They did
they
trace.
emailed you. They did not email him or trace anything with him. How weird. Actually, what happened was I actually lost that gun at a gas station because somebody took it from me. I called the police, and then he gives you the report number after you hang up the phone.
Yeah, I sent it in a text message.
Okay, and we can show that this text message that you received of the report number. You feel confident when you're talking to him that he's telling you the truth? I think you told me that you felt like...
Yeah, I felt like he was telling the truth.
Okay. I will say I had trouble with the story. I've already expressed that to my audiences just because I go off of vibes sometimes. And for me, when I heard the story of like a police officer, calling the police, police officers tend to be embarrassed if they get something taken from them because, like, we're the police officers, we're supposed to stop the crime, and then it happens to us, and they get all proud and, well, I'm going to hunt this guy and kick down with, they kind of are excessive when it happens to them or someone that they love or in their immediate circle. Even if you cut off a police officer, suddenly they're like giving you the worst ticket ever. It's like, I'm a police officer and you violated the laws. I found it even more unusual. And again, I'm speculating here, but I just am familiar with Midland, incredibly wealthy area because of the oil. And I thought it was very strange that a gas station wouldn't have cameras. And you had asked him about that. And what was the reason he told that he didn't? The cameras weren't facing, or they didn't have footage. What was the?
Yeah, I think it did have cameras, and he told me that he did go in and check, but they couldn't see the visual of it, I guess, at the angle the vehicle was parked or wherever it was parked at. But it didn't tell me
too much about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggled with that a little bit. I'm going to be honest. It's a gas station, wealthy area. I just felt that would not be too likely. And then also just that a lot of unlikely things that happened there. So, but I did say I have not had the time yet to reach out, which I'm going to do, to hear that story. There's something about it that just instantly strikes me as very odd. For whatever reason, that strikes me as very odd. And I don't know this, so I'll ask you the question. In that typical scenario, shouldn't they have done the trace on him first?
So they do the trace on the manufacturer. Then it went to a gun store
that he has his gun sent to.
And then they're supposed to do the same trace for the same serial to that gun store. And then that gun store would tell them, okay, we sold it to this person. Here's their phone number and address. Did
you call the gun store?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that's something that could definitely be chased down. Okay, I'm definitely going to take a look into that. I do find that to be, as you did, this for the same reasons, just like, that's kind of precise timing. And it also is sort of, the timeline that, I don't know, just a lot going on in that timeline in 2024. So we'll see. But that definitely was of interest to me, of just a lot of planes were coming out of Texas that day in general, I think is why it kind of also flagged me as weird, is just looking into the Charlie Kirk assassination and things of that nature. And then kind of this weird connection with Victor, like trying to get these guns from you in that time frame for different things. And he's giving you the Haiti spiel. But now I'm in contact with someone from Haiti who knows Victor Marx, and it's just getting even more interesting. I don't think anybody really knows Victor Marx. That person shared with me messages. I was surprised to learn that his backstory about being abused by his dad being named Karl Marx, I guess it was right there, but I didn't know that Karl Marx was Jewish. This Karl Marx, his dad, that was something that came across in text messages that were given to me, that he's quite defensive about Israel, is what I would say. He is similarly how he kind of got real serious with you when it came to the IDF. He similarly got serious with this other individual who is interested in speaking out, who was his liaison to Jimmy Barbecue in Haiti. And similarly, this person kind of did some one-off comment about Israel, and he met a different Victor Marx, is what I would say, who was like, what if I told you my dad's Jewish, and don't ever say that ever again. So there's a lot that's compelling to me, and something that I hadn't shared before with my audiences is that he was Charlie Kirk stopped speaking to Victor Marx entirely. Their relationship, I mean, like, unfollowed each other. I've spoken to several people about this. They didn't know what the falling out was about, but there was a very big falling out between Charlie and Victor Marx. And
Do you know what time frame?
Well, it all had to happen in the same season because Victor Marx was not in it. I don't know the time frame. I will find out. And he had completely stopped talking to him. They had stopped following each other. And I'm wondering, how then his wife was so close to Eileen and Victor that's one of the first people that she wants to hug and connect with after the assassination. And he also happened to be the first person that we can find that announced that Charlie Kirk was dead and then removed that video. I just find that to be really interesting. And hopefully we will get some answers from Victor Marx about what his falling out was with Charlie Kirk. If that was ever patched out, actually. I don't know if it was. His relationship with Erika makes me uncomfortable, given the fact that I had already arrived at a question mark about the Egyptian planes. My thesis was that they were trafficking weapons based off of the pattern over 3 years, beginning in the same time frame that you're discussing in 2023. And she happens to have a proximity to a lot of pastors that have interesting pasts and presence and always a finger on trafficking charities. And I find that not to be coincidental. I don't find that to be coincidental. And I just don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible that everybody can be doing charity in the same way for orphanages and wanting to stomp out human trafficking. And the Jimmy barbecue story was interesting because of also Tim Ballard and Operation Underground. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I had interviewed him, had heard the story, totally fell for the story that he was helping these victims. And then he arrived in a massive scandal where people were saying, no, that's not actually what he was doing overseas. And so it's another piece that I need to put together. But there just sort of seems to be a lot of these connecting themes with, my heart's in the right place. I'm doing charity. I'm doing this. This is the theme of the charity. I'm protecting orphanages. And I think that there potentially could be more here. And I think the biggest theme, and the one that's the most upsetting in listening to your story, the current that runs through all of this is this faux faith. And it feels like the entire world was given this retooling prayer, so to speak, after Charlie died. I feel like we went through that, but publicly, where suddenly we're being told this is all God ordained, and this is who you have to follow, and this is who you need to listen to, and if you question this, you've got demons on you. And this is, I think, what was so compelling about your story, because it was a microcosm of what we have seen happen since Charlie passed away. And we have this Victor Marx connection. And I find the manner in which he dealt with you to be sort of the manner in which Turning Point, the stage, everything, they have dealt with us publicly. Like, this is what God has ordained and nobody should question this. And yet we all feel the darkness. Everyone, collectively, the world feels a darkness there outside of the, little bubble of the mainstream media that's trying to conduct the retooling prayer on us. Yeah, I want to say that. I want to say that you are what you perceived in February, April, that faith is being manipulated, and it is not for light forces, it is for dark forces. People are going to feel that. And I felt so seen when I was reading your story and realizing what we're actually looking at here is dark psychiatry. This is dark. It's psychiatry. It's manipulative. You had used the term when we were discussing, which I think many people are familiar with, which is DARVO. you want to talk about what Darvo is in case they're not?
Well, yeah, this is something I just learned over the past few days is a Darvo, if I can remember properly, it stands for deny, attack, reverse, victim,
Victim and offender.
an offender. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the perpetrator denies what you're accusing him of. He attacks you, and then he reverses the roles of victim and accuser.
And when I say that we are going through this on a large scale, and it was exactly how my experience with Turning Point after, when you walked in tonight, I was on the phone with actually the president of the University of Georgia, and she, and this is for the Turning Point USA chapter, and there had just been this situation where Erika wasn't going because the crowd size, and she said that was it. It was the crowd size. We told them that it wasn't going to be a big crowd. We were concerned the entire time. We had communicated this to them that people didn't want to go. Conservatives didn't want to go because they don't like Erika. And they told us to keep going. And then Erika abandons that commitment in the last moment, and they get on stage and they blame the world. It's like you didn't show up for your commitment, and now you're telling the world that she had death attacks or death threats, and that wasn't true. And so the students are resigning. She's resigning her post, and she said, I examine the same psychological tactics. There needs to be a broader discussion about that. There just needs to be a broader discussion about that. And so there is sort of this nucleus, and I shouldn't even call it nucleus. This is so unhealthy. There's a really unhealthy cell here that's building with faith. It's not really faith. It's a cult. I think it's actually a cult in practice is what he was doing. I think there was a father, if you actually spoke to a priest about everything that happened, I was watching an interview with Father Ripperger. I don't know if you got to see that.
I did, yeah.
Incredible. It was incredible to hear him speak about some of those things. I found it to be incredible, and I haven't even finished it. I want to pivot to this weapon story, though, because again, talking about everyone in Erika's orbit, I had just covered that her mother, similarly, was trying to buy or get the patent, I should say, for another gun company, unique gun company, which could hold different bullet types in each chamber. I know I'm terrible at speaking about guns. You're smirking here. What do we? The cylinder.
Yeah.
Different rifling in each cylinder, which is super unique. And when I said that to you upstairs, that's very interesting. Your gun can fold. This gun would be the first to do this. And Lori was having this meeting. It ended up not panning out, but Erika showed up and they were interested in this company, or this patent rather. It wasn't actually made. And I thought, what do you think it is about these super unique guns that they're interested in? And I would like to hear your perspective and to talk about September 10th, because I think if there was a shot fired, could it have been closer? Could somebody have had it in their backpack? Again, we're surmising here. We are totally not saying this is how it went down, but it certainly makes for a compelling conversation.
Yeah, so that I got to see a video rendition of what the product that you're talking about. It looks like a revolver, and it seemed to have multiple chambers that each have different calibers built into it. And typically that would be like a handgun style firearm, but you just extend the cylinder, so to speak, out further and put a stock on it and whatnot. And then it could be configured as some kind of shoulder fired weapon. And in theory, you could have, I don't know, up to 10 or 15 or more different calibers in it. And so I've never seen that product in the marketplace. I suppose it didn't.
Hasn't been manufactured yet.
No commercialization there. As far as the patent goes, I've never seen it before, but
he did secure the patent.
Yeah.
3 years it took, but he's got the patent for it.
I would say this. So the FoldAR has several unique features to it. One being that it can fold, obviously, and the other that is not so obvious is the quick change barrel system. And so with just a push of a pen, you can take the entire barrel system off and swap it with a different barrel system of a different length or caliber. And so in the case of the AR-15, the most common calibers are 5.56 or 223, same caliber there, and 300 blackout. So we sell proportionately 60 to 40, 60% the 5.56 and maybe 40% 300 blackout. And so it's very common. Being that the ballistics report of the shooting say 30 caliber, that doesn't necessarily mean 30-06. And so it could be a number of 30 caliber, which is the diameter, 0.30 inches. It could be any number of different cartridges, but all 30 caliber. And so that matches a 300 blackout profile. And so, in my opinion, why maybe certain countries would want a barrel system changeable rifle, I mean, it's twofold. One is for assassinations.
Yeah.
And so here's the scenario. Again, speculation. I'm not hanging my hat on this.
Right.
We don't see much evidence. We see a few things. But the scenario is you have a backpack, you have a rifle that fits in it, and it would not necessarily have to be a FoldAR. There are some other models where you can take the barrel off with different means, but they're not very popular. In the case of a FoldAR, you could have the folded rifle in a backpack and another barrel system in it. And so you get to a shooting position, you take the rifle out, you unfold it, latch it, take your shot. You fold it, pop the pin, take that barrel system off, grab the other barrel system that's in the backpack, connect it to the receiver set, throw the other barrel, the freshly shot barrel system back in the backpack or wrapped around a towel. And you either leave the gun there and you take the backpack and the towel and the barrel system with you and jump off a building, or you put it all back together in the backpack and go put the entire unit somewhere else. So reason behind that, if you're wanting to get away with assassination, then you shoot a bullet out of one system, one barrel system, and then you swap it over to another, and your bullet profile doesn't match. As long as you get one of those components out of the mix, then you're effectively scot-free.
All right, you guys, a lot of people are starting to look for more natural skincare options, especially ingredients like tallow, but not all tallow products are created the same, and some can feel heavy, greasy, or they just sit on your skin without actually helping it. What makes Nimi Skincare's Sunshine Tallow Cream and their Buzz and Tallow Balm different is that their tallow closely mirrors your skin's natural lipids. That means it absorbs more effectively, and it actually supports your skin barrier instead of just coating your skin. Nimi pairs their ancestral ingredient with clean, modern formulation standards and purposeful botanicals, so your skin feels nourished, protected, and comfortable, not weighed down. It's a natural approach, but it's done thoughtfully. Their products are gentle, effective, and designed to support your skin the way that it's meant to function. So if you've been curious about tallow or you're looking for a more natural skincare alternative that actually works, this is the smart place to begin. You can find it at NimiSkincare.com, and if you want to try it, you can use my code Candace10 at checkout, and you'll get a discount. That's NIMI Skincare.com. Also remind you guys about American financing because the cost of living isn't just high, it's actually exhausting. If you've been leaning on credit cards lately just to cover the basics like groceries, gas, and utility bills, you're essentially paying a survival tax of 20% interest or more. I mean, why keep handing your hard-earned paycheck to the big banks when you could keep it for your family? My friends at American Financing have a better way. They're helping homeowners tap into their equity to pay off high-interest debt with mortgage rates that are currently in the fives. On average, American Financing is saving their customers $800 a month. That's nearly $10,000 a year back in your pocket. It's not just a loan, it's a total financial reset. It takes just 10 minutes to find out what you could be saving. There are no upfront fees, no obligation to talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant. And here's the kicker. If you start today, you could even delay 2 mortgage payments. American Financing is America's home for home loans. So call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or simply visit americanfinancing.net/Owens, americanfinancing.net/Owens. Let me ask you a question, silly question, but I'm allowed, I think. One of the things, obviously, that's been the biggest discoveries in this is that the bullet didn't go through, right? So this is why people really struggled with the 30-06 because, it would take down a moose.
Yeah.
Is the 30, any 30 scenario, would that be different? As
Yeah.
someone who's not familiar with different bullets and what they can do, which would be me, and I think a lot of other people as well, like that's something that to me feels like it would have to be a lot smaller.
So there's a lot of schools of thought around this, and I'm not a ballistics expert. I'm a compact weapons expert on the AR platform. But ballistics, I've seen a lot. I've shot a lot, but I don't do that every day. That's my qualification there. However, I do know that 300 blackout, especially subsonic, has a much higher probability of not going through than a 30-06. Now,
Can I ask what a subsonic is?
Subsonic is usually always charged with a lesser burning powder.
Okay.
And so it'll travel ideally below the sound barrier, which is going to be around.
So literally subsonic sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
950 feet per second, plus or minus, depending on temperature, elevation, all that. And so I wasn't there, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And of course, hearing it through phones and audio devices isn't the same. A lot of people can tell the difference right off the bat between subsonic and supersonic.
Also, there were speakers there. There's one theory that they played a sound that was different while another one escaped. I mean, there's 1,000 different. There's so many theories out there, but people would be able to tell the difference between a subsonic. Is the main point. Okay.
And so and I'll just describe, the most likely ballistic profile that I would be looking at for this type of and I don't see the body. I'm just here. I haven't even seen pictures. I saw, the immediate aftermath of those videos, but we haven't seen, the body. So just again, if there was no exit and there was a fragment of the bullet found in the body, and I think I heard somewhere that there was other lead fragments found inside. Don't know if that's true or not. But what you're looking at is potentially a subsonic 300 blackout that perhaps wasn't shot with the suppressor installed on it, and did not go through and separated when it hit, and a piece of the jacket coming off and separating. And again, though, if there is no exit wound, you're going to find all the bullet fragments inside, and you'll be able to and you'll be able to weigh it, and you'll tell exactly, or pretty close, how much that bullet originally weighed after you get all the pieces together. And so If it is true that no fragments left the body, then it will all be there.
It's got to all be there. It's an autopsy.
And so maybe we're not seeing the whole picture. Maybe some fragments did exit somewhere. I don't know. But I could see a 300 blackout doing that. Even a supersonic blackout could possibly still remain completely inside the body and separate and not penetrate through. 30-06 though. I mean, I've had a guy that was a sniper, a Marine sniper that said he's seen all kinds of crazy stuff. And this was just last week. And he could envision a 30-06 core lock possibly doing that, but
In the neck.
yeah,
That's the problem. It's the neck.
he
Like
seemed
it's like
he seemed kind of like, yeah, it's very unlikely, but I've seen crazy stuff before.
people
and
have sent me pictures of them. Like
Yeah.
dad accidentally shot himself. It actually ricocheted off a tree and hit him, and it went through both of his legs. Like ricocheted. So it slowed down, and they sent me. One guy was in the hospital. He's like, I just wanted you to see what a 30-06 did to me.
Yeah.
I was on a hunting trip, had an accident, and like this is how far it was. And these people almost lost their ability to walk. Like, I mean, it's like, and this is the leg, right? So much more like a neck is just, that was kind of the other thing, is it was the neck. If it was the chest, I think people could have been like, okay, maybe like, I do want to ask you a question. When you sell your guns, are you giving them every barrel option comes with it?
No, they'll usually just buy one version.
One version. Okay.
Occasionally they'll get a barrel system with a different caliber along with the purchase.
Okay. And may I ask, regarding that Texas purchase where the gun went missing, which barrel option was it?
That was 5.56,
Otherwise known as a
223.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. So that's actually smaller than 30.
So that'll move a lot faster. And that was a 16-inch barrel, 223. And so velocities are going to be up in the 3,000 range feet per second. And with most ammo, that's going to punch right through and not even expand much and just poke a hole, unless it hit bone, of course. But I mean, there's all kinds of different ammunition. And
Wait, sorry. When you say it's going to go right through, do you mean like a 30-06 go through?
No, 30-06 is just it's expanding quickly. It's got a lot more energy and bigger diameter, and it's I would say within 2 inches of neck, it's already
Not even like the middle. Like it's less. You got less if you're going through this way. Which is where he was hit. But a 223.
It's just gonna a normal 30-06 is just gonna plow right through.
Mm-hmm. I think they knew that. I think they were never planning on showing.
And
us that
even
fast
still,
footage.
if the jacket did separate quickly and didn't just mushroom in and stay intact, depending on the bullet design, even if it did separate, those pieces after they separate, they're some of them are gonna go out and exit. Even if one of them can hit bone and then travel back down, like they said, possible, but the other piece is going to shoot out somewhere.
Yeah, and it just didn't at all.
Yeah. So I would say this, with the 300 blackout up on an inclined roof angle, a subsonic 300 blackout round. Another interesting thing to think about. Typical gun ranges, you're going to zero your rifle at either 100 yards or 25 yards. Doesn't have to be the case, but that's typically what you do with your scope. And so let's say you zero it at 100 yards. Well, when you're now at 150 yards, your bullet's going to drop. If you're at 100 yards, it's going to hit right on where you're aiming if you've done your job and zeroed it. But if you're at 100 yards, it's going to drop. If it's a subsonic round, it may drop 10 to 12 inches, maybe 8 inches, maybe 14 inches. But it's going to drop, adding that extra 50 yards. And then you have the incline factor.
Mm-hmm.
So you're shooting kind of downhill, and it's not going to drop as much. So you're shooting flat. If it's, let's just say, average of 10 inches, it drops. The incline, it's going to drop maybe 7 or 6 inches even.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that shot came from that Losi Center building.
Well, so if it did, and you had a 300 blackout that was zeroed at 100, then it's very reasonable that it would hit in the neck if aiming exactly for the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I tell you what, it's a much more believable story than the one that we're getting. I will say that. So, I mean, this is all just so fascinating to hear your story, and I think it gives us a lot to think about. I certainly have, as I've said, I'm happy to have Victor on this podcast and to allow him to tell more about his life story, which I think many people have found parts to be unbelievable. I think he's a crazy person. I will say that for sure. Just on the basis of the story you're telling me, the retooling prayer. I think he's wildly manipulative. I think he's probably involved in a cult, in the occult. That's what that all sounds like to me. And but it is also, like I said, a dark psychiatry for sure. And I do think that right off the bat, you were a victim of that, and he targeted you for purposes that had very little to do with faith and more to do with the product that you had. And it's a piece. I think the person who wrote the piece and has been working on your story, Corey Kennedy, right,
Mhm.
did a very good job when she described it as a mosaic. We're looking at a very large mosaic. A lot of players are involved, all kind of using the same tools, manipulating people, attacking people, making them think that, they're not doing right by God, which is the wildest piece of the manipulation. It's the darkest piece of the manipulation. If you don't serve me, if you don't do this for me, you're not doing right by God, and putting themselves in positions of power over people's life, and just learning those points, where can they push? Where is this person vulnerable? What are they the most scared of? Well, then I know how to put them more firmly in my grasp, under my thumb.
I would bring up a topic. So on Israel, I'm not against Israel, and I don't have some beef against the IDF. I don't have a beef against the people of Israel. I don't have beef against Jews. With Victor claiming that he's Jew, that doesn't matter to me. Israel is believers in Christ, and replacement theology is not the thing. Dispensationalism is not it. It's right in the middle. It's fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ fulfilled. And so we're supposed to still treat everybody, no matter what ethnicity they are, no matter what country they're from, with the love and respect that Jesus Christ gave us an instruction to do so. And so, I like the idea of protecting the nation of Israel, just as it was any other nation. However, offensively, no. Defensively, yeah, but we crossed the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I see happening is the fulfillment of prophecy. I think that we've got a condition set where we're about to throw down Israel. And that's equally as dangerous. And so with, I mean, did you see what Trump read today in the Bible?
I have not seen that yet. I've been working all day.
Yeah. So it's a national call for repentance. And, when you look at what was read today, you combine it with the story of Solomon, which that's where this chapter, this set of verses is coming from. They're preparing to build the third temple. And so just look into that. And so what,
I've been looking into Freemasonry and their obsession with Solomon's temple, Solomon's ring. It's where that is what the flag of Israel is. I mean, it's I will look into that. I did not see it, so I will say that. But
yeah. It's an interesting one. And
you can see what's guiding Trump is sort of this dark theology right now, and he's not really concerned about anything other than something that he thinks is a higher calling. I think that's what it feels like to all of us, where it doesn't seem like he cares about what happens to us one way or the other. There's something higher that he's serving. And I don't think it's higher, to be clear. I think it's lower. But yeah.
The story of Hosea is a really good example. So Hosea and Gomer.
Mm-hmm.
Hosea was instructed to go marry a prostitute. And that prostitute represented Israel. Hosea represented God, or Jesus. And so he did it. And Gomer ended up doing what a prostitute does and ran off and went prostituting and got captured again. And Hosea, in obedience, he went and bought her out of bondage. And so he still loved his wife who had disobeyed. And it's the same situation to look at with the Jews or Israel, is that they've rejected Christ, but God does still have his arms open. The promise is still there. The old covenant is not there, but the new covenant is there for them. And so in that manner, all of Israel will be saved. All believers in Christ will be saved. But we got to keep that in mind when we see the synagogue of Satan. That's just a small portion of Israel.
Yeah. And you see people, I think you hold the perspective of most true Christians. We want everyone to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, and some religions and faiths are exclusive. No, you're born into, no, we want everyone to be saved. We want everyone to find Christ. And we also want people to not be distracted by those who are saying they're doing things in Christ's name that are actually taking you down an entirely different path. And I think your awakening that you started to have about, wait, what is this? I know Charlie was going through that in the end. Charlie was looking up and wondering what the heck was around him, who these people were. We had those conversations about the manipulation, about the moral blackmail, which he spoke about what I had described to him. It was like, this is like a gang, actually. It's a gang. And and they're imparting spiritual warfare. And so I do think in the end he had clarity on a lot and was, fighting for himself and fighting for truth and realizing that what Israel was. I do. I know that. I know that Charlie was recognizing that. And I don't believe he died in vain, because we're 7 months into this thing, 7.5 months into this. And I wake up every day and he's still a national conversation.
Yeah.
He's an international conversation.
Yeah. And he still loved Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Just not the things that
he
Israel
knew that
was
what they were doing didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And the reasons he was being told it was fine was not okay anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's exactly what you went through. I think exactly what I went through. And so it's there's no hatred on our part, which no matter how many times they try to psychologically convince us that it is an act of hate to notice things that are wrong, that are plainly wrong, that we can see with our own eyes.
Yeah.
I think we have covered so much here. And I just want to thank you for opening this conversation to everybody. I think this is going to send people down a lot of different rabbit holes. I know for me, I definitely want to chase that FoldAR that went missing. And
I think it's a divine point
yeah,
in the right direction.
yeah, and if it could be nothing, but
It is saying, look this direction.
mhm, yeah, you felt it, had a question, I have a question, there may be an answer. Sometimes you go somewhere and okay, it's nothing, but we gotta try it. I feel like we have to do all that stuff for Charlie, just to
Yeah.
keep looking. And yeah, I think just thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.